You fall in love. Then comes the difficult task of planning the perfect wedding. Lifting the veil, an inside look at wedding planning. And here's your host, Wedding Entertainment Director, Larry Williams.
Hello, and welcome to the debut podcast of Lifting the Veil, coming to you today from one of my favorite facilities in all of Northern Nevada, here at the beautiful David Wally's Hot Springs and Resort here in Genoa, Nevada. Isn't it gorgeous? Thanks for joining me. I've been wanting to bring a series like this to wedding couples for a long time, and we're finally getting it done. I'm so excited about it. It's going to help you, the bride and groom, become less overwhelmed, more organized, and help you navigate the complexities of your wedding day. There's really nothing else like it. Now, we've seen magazines that have generic tips in them, and you've been to blog sites that give you some great tips as well. But this is different. I'm here in the Northern Nevada area. Been here for almost 30 years as a wedding professional, and I've seen things and I've gotten perspectives on things that I want to share with all the brides and grooms out there, so you'll make better decisions, great decisions, and have the best wedding reception celebration ever. That's the goal for this podcast series. I hope this series will save you money, save you time, and help you create more unique and personalized wedding celebrations. That's the goal. Let me give you a little bit about myself. I'm a certified wedding entertainment director. There's only 36 certified wedding entertainment directors in the world, and I'm proud to be the only one in the state of Nevada. And what I've learned over the years is how to put together some amazing reception celebrations. So in this series, I'm going to help you navigate those complexities of all the things you need to do. You have to do a lot of hiring. You have to do a lot of investigatory work. You've got to interview a lot of people, and hopefully along the way you'll pick up tips and ideas that you'll find nowhere else. So today's episode is all about the science behind selecting your wedding date. Now, even if you already have a wedding date selected, you're going to want to keep it tuned here, because I'm going to give you some ideas and things that'll still be pertinent to what you're putting together already. So stay tuned. Right after the break, I'm going to bring you the science behind selecting your wedding date.
If you're planning an upcoming wedding, consider this. The Reno Tahoe DJ Company is a nationally recognized provider of first-class wedding entertainment. Professional, experienced, appropriate. Expect the finest in quality from the first consultation to the final dance.
The Reno Tahoe DJ Company, referred by more wedding professionals and preferred by more brides. Visit renodj.com. Welcome back. And now the science behind selecting your wedding date. So you recently got engaged. Congratulations. And now comes the difficult time to put it all together and how to become an expert on so many things that you need to do to put together a great wedding. So that's why I'm here. I'm going to give you some ideas and tips and suggestions along the way, and some perspectives that'll help you navigate complexities and give you great ideas for your wedding. Now, there is a science behind selecting a wedding date, and even if you already have a wedding date selected, keep it tuned, because I'm going to share some things with you you may not have already known. The first step in selecting a wedding date is to understand the difference between peak and off-peak wedding periods. That's step number one. What is peak wedding periods? Well, here in Northern Nevada, a peak wedding time would be from generally May until late September. That has always been like the peak wedding season for us wedding vendors and professionals here in the area. However, we've seen a trend over recent years that finds us more and more getting bookings for April. April has become a great early spring month for wedding celebrations. It's because the winter thaw, the snow is starting to melt, but you still got enough snow on the mountains for those great pictures. Also, it goes more into October now. October is a great fall month, and you'll even find wedding couples that choose their wedding colors based upon having a wedding in fall. You get those beautiful rust colors and yellows and golds and reds that are on the trees and bushes. It makes for some wonderful pictures, and brides and grooms are really loving the fall colors for their wedding. So think of peak wedding season here in northern Nevada to be basically mid-April up until mid-October. Kind of drops off a little bit to off-peak wedding time around the months of November, December, January, February, and March. What's that mean? That means you could probably save some money if you're looking to kind of minimize the expenditures. Save some money by doing your wedding during the off-peak wedding months. So the peak wedding months is when there's high demand. Off-peak wedding months such as November, December, January, February, and March, you can save some great money, not just with venues, but with all vendors for that matter. Many of them offer discounts and great deals during those times, so kind of keep that in mind. Step number 2 is you gotta bring yourself to the fact that you're gonna pay more money on a weekend date. That is gonna happen. If it's peak season especially, your Saturdays and Sundays will be more expensive than your weekdays. So keep that in mind and just kind of resign yourself to that fact that Saturdays and Sundays are the busiest times for weddings here in a destination area like Reno, Lake Tahoe. So weekdays, you could probably save some money by doing something on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Now, I want you to consider, step number 3 is consider something that has a date, that has a special meaning to you. I am so excited when I learn of a particular reason why a bride has selected April 3rd or whatever date she selects. Just because it's out of the blue, I say, what's the deal with April 3rd? And they'll say, oh, that was the date we first exchanged I love yous. Or that was our first date was on April 3rd. I have found that customers or clients, the guests that attend weddings, they really respond well when they attend a wedding that is based upon a date that has special meaning to you. So keep that in mind. If you choose a date like that, your guests will respond and they'll still show up to your wedding. So don't worry so much about, well, it has to be a summer date when everybody's out of school and this sort of thing. You could pick a date as long as it has special meaning to you. That will mean a lot to your guests and they will respond in kind. Also think of numerical dates. You know, a lot of people like this past year chose 8-18-18. Now, that was the biggest wedding day of the year because of the numerical order of it. 7-7-07 was another big one. That was another Saturday. But these things are great to have. They have great numerical meaning, easy to remember, but you got to remember one thing really important. You're clever to think of that date, but there are probably dozens and dozens and dozens of brides who have also thought of it. That means more demand for the better services. The facilities book up quicker. So do the DJs and photographers and coordinators and florists. Everybody books up quicker when it's an in-demand wedding date based upon a special numerical number. Okay? Vacation month is also another good one. Try to pick a date that isn't a favorite vacation. So every year when you celebrate your anniversary, you can go on vacation right around the time of your wedding date. That's another thing to look at when selecting a wedding date. Also, think of area events that are happening in and around the area where you're going to be planning your wedding. Now, up here in the Reno Lake Tahoe area, we have a thing in August called Hot August Nights. It's a big car show, the biggest one in the United States. That's great for a couple reasons because it also gives the people who are visiting from out of town many things to do besides the wedding. They can go visit the car shows and the poker runs and take in the entertainment. However, it also means hotel room rates are higher, tougher to get hotel room blocks and this sort of thing. So there's a give and there's a take. There's a good part and a bad part. You got to look at special dates like that, things around like the great Reno balloon races we have, or around Labor Day weekend, we have the rib cook-off in Sparks. It's huge. It brings all kinds of people out to the area. We also have Burning Man happening up in the Black Rock Desert. That has a lot of people traveling in and around to and from. Again, hotels are a little bit more harder to come by, and some banquet facilities might get booked up quicker too. So think of the area special events happening around the date that you're selecting. I was wondering why we were getting so many requests for a certain date in May this past year, and I couldn't figure out why am I getting so many calls for this one date? As it turned out, it was the date of the UNR graduation ceremonies. Now, the University of Nevada, Reno has a graduation ceremony that lasts 2 or 3 days. And a lot of people were coming into town, family coming in for these big graduations for the university, and they were booking up rooms, and they were actually having weddings to coincide with all those family being in from out of town. So there's many different factors that go into picking a date, and that's another one to think about, is look at the area special events, the Nevada State Fair, the Reno Rodeo, so many things happening in and around our area that you need to be cognizant of before selecting that date. And finally, my last tip is to select 3 dates. 3 dates. So you have one that is your main date, one that's a backup, and one that's another one to fall back on. So let's say you find a facility that you fall in love with, but they're not available for the date you want. Chances are you might want to move on to the next facility. That's what our brain tells us to do. But if you have a second date or a third date as a backup, that's a great opportunity to say, hey, listen, do you have this date, or maybe a weekday date or an off-peak wedding date? Okay. Work with that facility or whoever you're working with, you can look at one of those alternative dates. So have 3 dates in mind, because when you fall in love with a facility, there's nothing worse than them saying, oh, you know what, we're already booked, and then you got to move on. No, don't move on. Stick with who you fell in love with and work with that facility, and let them look at your other 2 dates. So there's a little bit of a science to selecting the great wedding dates that will work out for you. I hope that helps you. I want you to stay tuned, because next time on Lifting the Veil, I'm going to talk to you about prioritizing the vendor selection process. So important, because there is a particular order that will help you. Usually the first thing you do is, after you get a wedding date, you hit the facility. But then all those other vendors you have to hire. Which one should you hire first? I'm going to share that with you in the next episode. Till then, I'm Larry Williams. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media.